welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's Emma, and if you're not new here, it is finally time for another monthly TBR video. If you guys haven't seen me do these videos before, essentially what I do is draw random prompts that will help me decide the books I'm going to be reading for the upcoming month. And today we're going to be drawing prompts for the month of June. And the reason I'm saying we're finally getting another one of these videos is because I believe I skipped doing this video for at least 1 month, maybe 2 months. And the reason being that I just was in a reading mood. First of all, there was a lot of anticipated new releases coming out that I knew I had to read the second I got my hands on them. And if you guys would be interested in seeing me read those books, I do have part 1 of a reading vlog reading my anticipated new releases up on the channel now. I'll link it up here somewhere, and part 2 will be coming out shortly, so make sure you subscribe so you can see when that does come out. So that obviously was taking up a lot of my time reading those new releases, but at the same time I did fall into a little bit of a reading slump, and I feel like the worst thing I can do to myself when I'm in a slump is to force myself to stick to my TBR. So instead I've just been letting myself mood read to help keep me out of my slump, but also just to let myself pick up books I was naturally drawn to and gravitated towards. However, I did very much miss filming these videos, and I love it when the random prompt just decides for me basically what I'm gonna read. So today I'm gonna be drawing 5 prompts to decide what books I'm gonna be reading in the month of June. I'll stop rambling and let's get into it. So if you guys have not seen these videos from me before, the way it works is I have a bunch of random prompts in this bag. I'm gonna give it a good shake, draw 5 prompts, read them to you guys, and then we're gonna search all of my books to find something that fits each prompt, and that's what my TBR will be for the month of June. As always, let's give it a good shake. And our first prompt is a book that has or will be getting turned into a TV or movie adaptation. Okay, this is really exciting. There's a few popping into my brain immediately. I feel like I have read most of the books I own that are or will be turned into TV show or movies, but there are a few I can think of that are coming soon in the future for adaptation, so we'll definitely have some good options for this one. Our second prompt is, oh, I accidentally grabbed like 3. The second prompt is a book with flowers on the cover. I feel like it's very common for books to have flowers on the cover in lots of genres, fantasy and contemporary romance, and probably lots of others. So we're definitely gonna have a lot to pick from for this one. Our third prompt is a book with a non-human protagonist. So I take this as meaning like it could be a fae, even though that's like a human character, but if it's like a fantasy book where the main character is a vampire or a fae or something like that, that would count. But I guess it also could mean like an animal or a robot. Fourth prompt is a book you were given as a gift. Ooh, I really like this prompt, and I feel like I could take this prompt 2 ways. It could be something I was gifted for like a birthday or a holiday, but I also feel like this could be a book that I've been gifted in PR. So we'll definitely have lots of options to pull from there. And then our 5th and final prompt for the month of June is a book of the month book. I'm so glad I got this prompt because if you guys have watched my other videos, you know I frequently say that I am so bad at staying caught up on all of my book of the month books. When I first started my book of the month subscription, I tried really hard to read the book of the month in the month I got it, and at some point I fell off from that, and now I am months and months and months behind. So I love it when I get prompts like this because it forces me to choose something off that shelf. To quickly recap all of the prompts, we have a book that has or will be getting adapted into a TV show or movie, a book with flowers on the cover, a book with a non-human protagonist, a book I was given as a gift, and a book of the month book. I'm gonna go pull our options for each of these prompts, and I will be right back here to decide with you guys. I am back from absolutely scouring my shelves trying to find books that fit these prompts, and I feel like we've got some really, really good options this month, which makes me excited because I feel like no matter which books I decide for these prompts, I'm gonna be happy with it. I want to start with the prompt that says a book that has or will be turned into a TV or movie adaptation, and actually both of my options are already adapted for screen, TV, movie. That made no sense. Basically, both of the adaptations for these books are already out and already exist. My first option is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which is a sci-fi mystery, I think. I've been hearing phenomenal things about it, and I actually picked this book up because Kennedy on the I'll Read What She's Reading podcast is always raving about how much she loves this book, and I think the other two on that podcast really enjoyed it as well. And I've been trying to dive a little bit more into sci-fi. I read the Red Rising series around this time last year and have been itching to find another sci-fi book that I will enjoy, and I just feel like this one has really good reviews. Plus, it is adapted to a TV show on Apple TV, so I feel like it'd be really fun to read this and then jump into the TV show. This actually has been on my TBR a couple times before, and for whatever reason, I just never got around to picking it up, so that definitely pushes me to want to put this on the TBR. But our other option is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. It has been a goal of mine to dive into Frederick Bachman books this year. I actually wanted to start with Beartown, and I went to Barnes & Noble looking for Beartown, and they were sold out of it, so I picked up this one instead. I know a lot of people also really love this one. I just don't think it's quite as popular as Beartown, but I do know that there's at least one movie version of this, maybe two. I want to say one of the movie versions is with Tom Hanks, and that's like the American version, but I think there's also a European version. I could be totally lying about that because I have no clue where I heard that from, but for some reason I want to say there's multiple screen adaptations for this. But my understanding of this book is that it's basically just about the life of a grumpy old man. That's literally all I know about it, but I know people say it's so heartfelt and it makes them cry. And I'm pretty sure this is just considered to be general fiction. And I'm so torn. These books could not be more opposite from each other. I do have Beartown on the list of my 25 books to read in 2025, but A Man Called Ove is not on there. However, I do think I have Dark Matter on my list of 25 books to read in 2025, so because of that, I feel like I need to go with Dark Matter, even though I am really excited to pick this book up and to just jump into Frederick Bachman's books in general. But I think I'm going to stick this one back on the shelf and save it for a later time and dive into Dark Matter by Blake Crouch in the month of June. The next prompt I'm picking for is a book that has flowers on the cover, and when I tell you guys, I have so many books with flowers on the cover that it was a little bit overwhelming to even choose which books I wanted to pull off my shelves, but I did pull 3 that have very prevalent flowers on the cover and are all books that I'm very intrigued by. The first one is You Said I Was Your Favorite by Monica Murphy. I have never read a Monica Murphy book before, but I always see amazing things about her on the internet, and I believe this is just romance, like contemporary romance. I don't know if it's YA or adult, but I kind of feel like it's adult. And I know people eat up her books, and I've been looking for a new romance like that that's just going to be like consuming my thoughts 100% of the time. So I feel like this could be a good pick. The only reason I'm hesitant about it is because I do believe this is a part of a series, and I don't know if it's the first one or not. I need to look it up. Like, it would be so easy if I would just look it up. But on the back, it even shows pictures of 4 other books. And I believe A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime is the title I've heard the most frequently. So I don't know if that's the first in the series and this is later in the series. I did get sent this in PR, so I'm just not too sure. And that's the only reason I'm feeling hesitant about it. But I am really excited to just like jump into this author's books in general. My next option is A Dawn of Onyx by Kate Golden. And I believe this was on my TBR in March or maybe April, and I just didn't get around to picking it up. I have heard absolutely wonderful things about this book. I believe it's an adult fantasy romance, enemies to lovers, so basically everything I love. And for a fantasy, it's honestly not that long. I know it's in a series and everyone says the second book is like the best one, and I've just been looking for a really great fantasy romance series to dive into, and I feel like this could be it, and I really don't know why I didn't pick it up when it was on my TBR previously. Everything about it sounds fantastic to me. And then my final option for a book with flowers on the cover is Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. Now, unlike A Dawn of Onyx, this is a very thick book. This is also a fantasy romance, and it's a continuation of the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, which I read a few years back and absolutely loved. I've owned this book for a while and have been wanting to pick it up, but for some reason I just haven't. I believe this is following one of the brothers of the main male character in the original trilogy, and I was like intrigued to know more about him in the original trilogy, so I feel like I'll eat this up. I have also heard that this one leans more adult as far as like the spice and the romance goes compared to the original trilogy, so I'm probably gonna eat it up. At this point, I think I'm gonna set aside You Said I Was Your Favorite simply just because I don't know where this falls in the series, and I do think at this point in time, I'm a little bit more intrigued by these two, and my deciding factor is gonna be the same deciding factor I had on my last prompt, and that is that one of these books is on my list of 25 books to read in 2025, and the other one is not. Can you guess which one it is? If you guessed Throne of the Fallen, you are correct. Dawn of Onyx is a more recent purchase for me, and while I am very, very excited to get to it, Throne of the Fallen has been sitting on my shelves for much longer. I've been excited about it for longer, and I do have it on my list of 25 books to read in 2025, which I'm really, really wanting to cross off every book on that list, so I feel like it only makes sense to stick this on my TBR. Even though it's a lengthy one, I just have a feeling I'm gonna eat it up. Our next prompt we're choosing for is a book with a non-human protagonist, and pulling books for this was actually a little bit more difficult than I expected it to be. I assumed like a lot of my fantasy books would have a non-human protagonist. However, a lot of the blurbs on the back don't really give away specifics, so I'm sure there are some sitting on my shelves right now that have mystical, magical beings as the main protagonist, but it just doesn't explicitly say that on the back, and I don't want to do too much digging because I don't want to give myself spoilers. So the two books I pulled are books that either I knew previously that the main character or the main protagonist was not quote unquote human, or it quite literally says it on the back. And my first option is Renegades by Marissa Meyer, and this one's been on my shelf for a while, and I don't know why I've never gotten into it. I feel like I see this pop up all the time on BookTube and Book Talk, and people just rave about it, and it sounds like it would be right up my alley. People have described this as like Marvel, but dystopian, and because of that, I knew that our main protagonist is a superhero, which, yes, that might technically be a human, but considering they have superhuman abilities, even though I don't even know what those are. But considering they are a superhero, I'm counting that for a non-human protagonist. This is also a YA book, and lately I've kind of really been eating up YA, so I feel like I would really like this. I have heard quite a bit about this on social media, so I don't want to read like the back or like know too much if I am gonna jump into this. But our other option is The High Mountain Court by A.K. Mulford. This has also been on my shelves for quite a long time. I actually picked this up kind of towards the start of my reading journey because a lot of people were saying it's very reminiscent of ACOTAR, which is what got me back into reading in the first place. This is a fantasy romance. I believe it's adult, and the reason this book works for this prompt is because quite literally the first sentence on the back of the book says, "For over a dozen years, 19-year-old Remy has known she is possibly the last Red Witch alive, and she is determined to stay that way." So obviously Remy, I'm assuming, is our main protagonist. She's a witch. That's not a human. I'm so torn. I already have a fantasy romance on my TBR, which means I probably should pick up this like dystopian superhero sci-fi type deal, but for some reason, I'm just being more drawn to this. I don't know what it is. I've had this on my shelves forever, and I'm typically not necessarily drawn to it. I mean, it's always sounded interesting to me, but I've never like gone out of my way to be like, ooh, I really want to read that this month. I do think it's been on my TBR before, but we're gonna stick it on there, and hopefully June is the month I get to it. Our fourth prompt was a book you were given as a gift, and like I said, I feel like this could mean multiple things. It could be something I was gifted like at a holiday, birthday, Christmas, whatever, or it could be something I was gifted in PR. So I have pulled two books I've received in PR that I am itching to get to, as well as a book I was gifted by my brother-in-law that I am also itching to get to, and I feel like deciding between these three is gonna be the hardest decision of the video yet. Our first option is The Wren in the Holly Library by K.A. Lind, or Lindy, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. This is an advanced reader's copy that I received. Honestly, it's maybe been over a year ago at this point, and the second I got my hands on this book and read the back, I was like, I know I'm gonna love this, I want to dive into this, and then for some reason I never did. I'm not gonna explain too much about what I do know about it, but it is a fantasy romance. I believe it's enemies to lovers, and the one thing I will read you from the back of the book says, "Can you love the dark when you know what it hides?" And that right there is what intrigued me to read this book the second I got my hands on it. It sounds so good. I just have a feeling I would eat it up, and I have no clue why I have not read it yet. On a similar note with a gifted advanced reader's copy, my other option is The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. Again, this was also gifted to me in PR a little bit more recently than The Wren and the Holly Library, and the reason I'm so intrigued to read this one is because when this book came out, there was so much hype about it on Book Talk, and obviously that makes me want to join in on the fun and find out what everyone's talking about. I believe, have I read another book by Abigail Owen? Oh, I remember why I was hesitant to read this. I have read another book by Abigail Owen. It's called The Liar's Crown. It's a new adult fantasy romance. I believe it's in a series. I read the first book like a year or two ago, and honestly was not a fan at all, unfortunately. I really wanted to like it, and the premise of the book really drew me in, but once I had started that book, I just did not like it. If you like that book, I am so happy for you. It just was not for me, and I was bored the whole time and a little bit let down, especially compared to how excited I was after reading the premise. And so I think that's why I have reservations about this book as well, because the premise sounds super exciting and intriguing to me, but it's the same author as a book that I've had that experience with before. And I know I shouldn't let that sway how I feel about the book, especially considering so many people love this book. I need to get around to reading it. I've just been hesitant. And then my third option for this prompt is a book I was gifted by my brother-in-law. We did like a secret Santa exchange at Christmas between myself, my husband, and all of his siblings, which was super fun. And my brother-in-law, Cameron, gifted me the books in the Chestnut Springs series, including the next one I need to get to, which is Reckless. I have been slowly working my way through this series, and I am absolutely obsessed with it. This is a cowboy contemporary romance, and quite literally, I can't believe I waited so long to read these books. This series also is on my list of the 25 books I want to read in 2025, and I feel like I've heard some people say this is their favorite in the series. So far, I've read Flawless, Heartless, and Powerless. This is the next one, and then I need to read Hopeless, I think, which is the last one, and then I'm planning on jumping into her other series, like the Wild Side, Wild Eyes, Wild Love, whatever that little series is. So I need to finish this first before I can jump into that, but I just love Elsie Silver's writing so much. The found family aspect in this series is phenomenal. It's like everything I love in a romance book. They're really easy to fly through, but they're also so heartfelt, and I just love all the characters so much. Not to mention the setting is phenomenal. I'm gonna stop rambling about how much I love this series, but this actually was on my TBR last month or the month before. Basically, I needed to get around to this a lot sooner than I did, and I was planning to, but for some reason it kind of took the back seat, was on the back burner while I was getting to all my anticipated new releases. But this book was gifted to me, so it could work for this prompt. Essentially, I'm torn between two fantasy romances I'm really excited about and continuing a series I'm already really enjoying. I will say I currently don't have any just contemporary romances on my TBR, and I do already have two fantasy romances on my TBR. So as excited as I am for both of these books, I feel like it only makes sense to do a regular romance, and also I need to continue this series anyway. But these are like back on my radar now, so who knows, maybe I'll end up picking up one or both of them this month as well. And then for our last prompt, we have a book of the month book, which, like I said, thank goodness I got this prompt. It's not that I don't want to read my book of the month books, it's just that I feel like I need a push to get me to go over to that shelf and physically get one off there and crack it open and read it, and this prompt is doing exactly that. I only pulled two off of there, even though there are plenty unread book of the month books on my shelf, but these two in particular just like jumped out at me for whatever reason. And our first option is The Passion Project by London Sperry, and there's two main reasons why I am wanting to read this. The first one being that on the Bookmarked podcast, which is Sarah Crowley and Destiny Sidwell's podcast, I think they did this book as a book club book or something, and listening to them talk about it made me want to read it so bad. Like everything about it just sounded amazing to me. And number two is that we're transitioning into summer, and I need some more lighthearted, fun, romancy, summery reads, and I feel like this would be perfect. I mean, literally look at the cover. Does that not scream summer to you? And it's set in New York, like summer in New York. What's more fun than that? I will say though, even though I just described this as seeming like a cutesy, fun, lighthearted, rom-com-y book, I do believe it touches on the subject of grief a lot, which obviously is very, very sad, but I do very much appreciate romance books that touch on heavier, more realistic topics, so I just have a feeling I would love this one. And then our other option for the book of the month book prompt is The Women by Kristen Hanna. I fairly recently read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and Absolutely loved it. It was heartbreakingly beautiful, and I'm starting to realize that I very much enjoy historical fiction. Not that I ever disliked it, it just never has been a genre I gravitate towards, but I think I really, really love it, and I do want to dive into it more, and I especially want to dive into more Kristen Hanna books. So this one has been on my radar for a while. I'm not even gonna read you what the blurb says, but literally the first sentence is "Women can be heroes." That right there makes me want to read this. I feel like this one could potentially make me cry because The Nightingale also made me cry. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. Both of these sound amazing to me. Like, I am genuinely so torn, and I don't really have anything that could be a tiebreaker between these two. I mean, I guess technically I don't have any historical fiction on the TBR for this month yet, but also it's summer, so like I want to put more romance on there. You know what? My video, my rules, I think I'm gonna put both on my TBR. Like, what's one more book? It doesn't hurt. That only makes it 6, which is less than what I normally do. That still gives me room to mood read a little. I think we're gonna do both because I feel like both of these are gonna be great June reads. I just have a feeling. And that is officially my TBR for the month of June. Let's quickly run through these and recap them before we end off the video. The first book going on my TBR is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a sci-fi that has also been adapted into a TV show on Apple TV. Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. This is a new adult fantasy romance that is a spin-off of the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. The High Mountain Court by A.K. Mulford. This is also a fantasy romance. I'm not sure if it's new adult or adult. I know it's not YA though. Reckless by Elsie Silver, the 4th book in the Chestnut Springs series that I'm absolutely eating up. It's a cowboy contemporary romance. The Women by Kristen Hanna, a historical fiction and a Book of the Month book. And lastly, The Passion Project by London Sperry. This is a contemporary romance that is also a Book of the Month book. I feel very excited about our lineup. Like, usually each month there's at least one book that I'm slightly less excited to get to, but with this stack, I genuinely am equally excited to read all of these books. I'm very happy with how our list turned out and with the prompts we drew today. If you guys have read any of these books before, let me know what you thought about them in the comments. No spoilers though, please. And also comment below what books you're hoping to get to in June. And I'll give the same disclaimer I give every time I make one of these videos, and that is that more than likely, I will not get to all these books because I am a mood reader. So when it comes time for my June reading wrap up, if you don't see all of these books on that list, I'm sorry. These are just the books I am hopeful to get to in the month of June, and who knows, maybe I will end up reading all of them, but I wouldn't count on it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in seeing more of my content, I do have my Instagram, TikTok, and Goodreads linked in the description below if you want to go follow me over there and check out what I'm doing on those platforms, or you can always head over to this channel and check out all the other videos I have posted currently. That's all for now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye guys!